I'm Ching Cha Ho, matrix number 270765. The issue for this case study is about the free rider problem. It is identified that the free rider problem is a major pitfall in group-based assessment. In 1994, West explains that the free rider problem exists because a constant score is given to the project outcome, which counts as individual marks for each member for the course. This creates a situation where the free riders get the opportunity to refrain from pulling their weight, limiting the work they invest, with the knowledge that they will nevertheless benefit from the efforts of other members. The free rider problem, also known as social loafing, occurs when one or more members of the team do not do their fair share of work and they feel that their lack of contributions to the project would go unnoticed. And the free rider problem is largely behavior. People tend to behave differently and tend to have different goals in life. Therefore, the free rider problem arises due to the combination of low achievers and high achievers in a group. So for the goal of the analysis, there were many complaints that received by students in the group work, and the teachers are pressed because they have many groups to mark and evaluate, but there were so many complaints from the students about the free rider. This study seeks to allocate individual marks to each members of the group members based on each member's contributions towards the group assessment, where peer contribution assessment is practiced, so it can make it easier for teachers to evaluate the students individually from the group, and this method will also be fair for students who are doing many works in a group. The Shapley value are used to solve the issues of free riders among students in group assessments. The study aims to ascertain and appropriate guidelines that teachers can follow to allocate marks within group assignments based on these similar contributions by the group members.
Hi, my name is Gina Vita and my metric number is 265497. There are 7 contexts of the problem. First, free riding issue. The free rider problem, also known as social loafing, occurs when one or more members of a team do not do their fair share of work. This leads to other members having to do more than what was expected of them, thus coining the term free rider for those who have contributed less than what was expected of them. Second, the group effort in education. Cooperative learning and understudy focused learning in advanced educations are all around perceived in scholastic writing. There are 4 sorts of understudy practices in the study hall, which is full joining, investment in the conditions, minimal cooperations and silent perceptions. Cooperations in the conditions is which understudies contribute when they are impacted by social, cultural, cognitive, affective, linguistic, and environment factors. Understudies here just talk up at the most suitable time. Third one is other method to assign group grade. This method requires each member of the group to evaluate each member performance based on the criteria that included attendance, complete delivery on agreed upon parts of the project, meeting deadline, volunteering for tasks during team meeting, and contributing accomplish fair share of a work in regards to the overall overload, showing enthusiasm and positive attitude toward team activity and members. Feedback allows students to identify areas of poor performance and ways to improve them. The fourth one, cooperative and non-cooperative game. Cooperative game is used in situations involving 2 individuals with similar interests where they can discuss the situations and agree to a joint action. Non-cooperative game is a one where it is impossible for the players to communicate or collaborate in any way. Cooperative and non-cooperative game can have two or more individuals in respective game. The fifth, applications of the Shapley value. The Shapley value has widespread applications in probability and inequality analysis. Accordingly, the Shapley value was used to disaggregate and study the determining factor of income inequality. Shapley value also been applied in many areas such as climate change, financial management, risk distributions, cost allocations, democratic system, and so on. Besides finding and synthesis, Shapley value concept has been applied in fields as diverse as government, decision-making, internet service provider, and assessing voting rights. However, some attention is paid in applying the Shapley concept to solve the free rider issue prevalence in group-based assessment. It was suggestions that every member of the group assess the contributions of their group member and their own to a maximum. This assessment should have done thrice, once in the first quarter of the durations of the assessment, once in the midpoint. Lastly, the gap. The issue of coalitions which may be formed among groups that practice peer assessment. This study addressed the coalitions issue in group assessments so that each member of the group or team get a fair mark or reward. While many educators use contributions of each student to allocate marks using peer assessment, there are no studies that consider the issue of coalition. Thus, in the article, the Shapley value is used to allocate fair marks to students based on their contributions for peer assessment. In fact, the method that we use to allocate the student mark for group assessment is using Shapley value to evaluate the value for cooperative game. The conditions to use Shapley value to give equity to who contribute the most and divide into three categories. First is each member must contribute equal to the group rate, which is 100 divided by n. Second, each member indicate the percentage of his contributions and the other members. And lastly, if the value of Shapley is greater than or equal to contributions, the member is awarded the full group score, and if the value is low, the final score is calculated by player contributions divided by 100 times final note.
My name is Chan Pei-yong. My matrix number is 27396. Today, I will present the alternative solutions are available to solve the problem. This research has applied the Shapley value in the field of education. What is Shapley value? Shapley value is a method has been used to give fairness to the contribution of each member and to remove any possible disadvantage that a member may have as a result of any possible coalition. In this case study, instructor may have peer assessment in terms of contribution towards a group assessment thrice during the duration of the group assessment. Instructor can evaluate in three evaluations, which is the first quarter of the peer evaluation in the group, the second evaluation in the middle, and the third peer evaluation in the group assessment. In order to calculate Shapley value, the mean of the three peer evaluation will be used as contribution scores for each student. When the Shapley value of a student is greater than or equal to 100 over n, the student will get a full score for the graded evaluation. While the Shapley value of a student is less than 100 over n, their score is calculated as the formula given below. There are two scenarios in this case study, which is the first scenario is the case of two students with group mark of 80 over 100, and the second scenario is the case of three students with group mark of 80 over 100. In this table, we can see that the case of the two students of the student A will get 55% of the marks, and the student B will get 45% of the marks. What we can see in the table 1 of the case of 3 students, they also will get the marks as given below. In this slide, we can see that the table 2 is show the Shapley value of the case of 2 students. First, we will list the order and arrival list, which is AB and BA. After that, we will calculate Shapley value and the mark allocation. From the table, we can see that the student A will get the full mark of the Shapley value, which is 55% greater than or equal to 50%, and the mark is 80. While the student B will get the marks according to their contribution, which is 45%, and the mark allocation is 72. Next, we also need to find the Shapley value of the case of 3 students. In this slide, this table 2 shows the Shapley value of the 3 students. First, we also need to list out the order and arrival list, which is ABC, ACB, BAC, BCA, CAB, and CBA. Next, we will fill in the numbers, and we will get the Shapley value and the mark allocation. As a conclude from the table 2, we can know that student A and student B get 37.5% and 35% respectively because of their mark allocation is 80. While the student C is lower than the student A and student B, which is 27.5, and the mark is 66. Lastly, the other method can be used to solve this problem is multiple pairing of self-assessment methods. Why is it this method will be used? That it is because that the student in the group can have their own opinions. They can evaluate their team members for their performance of doing the task.
My name is Tan Sek Lee with number metric 271236. Today I would like to present about improved solution recommended. To improve the solutions to the problem, I would recommend to assign the individual marks to each of the members based on their contribution and also cooperation in the group assessment, where the peer contribution is given to complete the assessment. From this, all members in the group have the right to value the contribution and decide the individual mark makes by each of the members in group assessment. Hence, every member will be satisfied with the mark given, which is equitable according to their own work in the group assessment. In this case study, Shapley value method is recommended to be used. In games theory, the Shapley value applies primarily in situations when the contribution of each actor are unequal, but they work in cooperation with each other to obtain the payoff. Hence, Shapley values concept method will be the most suitable method that can be applied to any group setting where there is a peer assessment or peer evaluation, such as group assessment in education to team assessment to allocate commissions or bonus in the business. The aim or intentions to use the Shapley value is that the member of a group can form coalition and drive a members to get lower marks, and Shapley value will consider this and give fairness to all the members of the groups to form fair or impartial outcome amongst members in the group.